we're not doing anything. I mean, it's a process that, the talks go on, and it's always been the plan to get that done. And I see that getting done. I really do, It's just a question of timing and moving towards an agreement, like always, that favors both sides and it's good for both sides. So, but, we've never had a problem there, Mike, when you look at the history of the franchise with our outstanding players that go into second contracts, whether it's been Reggie Wayne or Marvin Harrison or whoever. I see that getting done. No question. I think they were addressed probably even in a more exciting way than I hoped. I think when we look where we were sitting that Sunday night with Chris and I just gathered at midnight late in the office after the Jacksonville game, to think that, that the roster has changed, obviously led by Matt Ryan, those great free agents you mentioned, and a great draft. We're really excited about that. And we really feel, this is an outstanding football team with a lot of veteran leadership. It's proven, that we can get more turnovers than anyone in the league. That's the best special teams group in the league, that it has the best running back, along with obviously the great player in Tennessee. And, so there's so many positive things. And I think Matt Ryan's been everything we hoped and dreamed for. I know how happy the whole organization is having his leadership going into the season. And obviously we think we have two great backups there as well. So, we're really, really excited, and I think we have a reason to be.
I mean, it's just you coming against another team, and it's not a full game, so it's like you're not really trying to save guys from touchdowns, so it's like every play is just more physical, like more intense. So, and especially for the vets, we're not playing in the preseason game, so like this is true. Like it's game 1, game 2, today and tomorrow.
Like I said, just continuing to work on catching the ball every day, catching jug machine, working with the receivers as a whole, and just knowing that when the ball comes over, we got to catch the ball, because receivers, and at the end of the day, got to catch the rock. So that's the biggest thing for me, just focusing on that technique.
Hello, and welcome to the Colts Cover 2 podcast. I'm Joel A. Erickson. This is Nate Atkins. We're here at the first joint practices between the Detroit Lions and the Indianapolis Colts, and we're going to have pretty differing views because we watched opposite fields. Nate had the Colts offense. I had the defense. Nate, what did you see from the offense today?
This is the day you wanted from the offense. Like they haven't always looked great. They didn't look great in that quarter they played in the preseason. Today the passing game was just cooking. I mean, they just looked. This looked like Matt Ryan's best day, most efficient day. One-on-ones were nice for the most part. He was hitting some good deep balls in that setting. But then just the way they worked the middle of the field today was impressive. Mo Alley-Cox and Michael Pittman Jr. were guys that Detroit just didn't know how to handle. Now, the Lions secondary is not the strength of their defense, so that's where they were supposed to win. It was much better there than the run game, but that's the growth that you wanted to see, and we saw some of it today.
It looked like in the red zone from across the field where I was that there were some nice plays made in the back of the end zone. I saw Pierce make one. Was Strawn out of bounds? I couldn't tell.
Strawn was out of bounds. Pierce had he had the play of the day, though. It looked like for sure that was going to be a pass breakup that he just kind of just acrobatically hauls in the back of the end zone. Ashton Dulin had one of those. They were great in the red zone setting, and then when they spaced it out, that's when they would get Michael Pittman Jr. lined up on whether it was corners or linebackers, safeties. Nobody really could handle him, and that finally led to a kind of a late skirmish when they were just trying to do something with him, and they shove him to the ground. With Pittman, always gets a little bit fiery, but he looked like he's always looked. The nice thing though was it was the Alec Pierce, Ashton Dulin, Mo Alley-Cox, all those guys showed up at the same time.
Defensively, the Colts were dominant in the one-on-ones, especially one-on-one pass rush. One-on-one pass rush. The first time through, the Lions starting line did okay, handled themselves okay. The second time through, the Colts defensive line really hammered through that defensive line, or the offensive line of the Lions, with the one exception. Penei Sewell, very highly regarded right tackle, did pretty well against Kwity Paye in 2 reps. And then once you got out of the starting defensive line, the backups really just destroyed the Lions' offensive line. They were good in one-on-ones in coverage. They were good in 7-on-7 in coverage. When they got to full team, though, some of the misdirection seemed to give the Colts some trouble. Lions ran a lot of play action. That seemed to give the Colts some trouble. And there were a lot of completions. I don't know that there were a ton of huge plays, but there were a lot of completions. The Lions did better as a full group than they did when it was broken down defensively. Not quite so much of a highlight day as what you saw on the other side,
Well, I think those are
right in the middle.
Yeah, and those are the areas I thought that would test the Colts more. Is the Lions receivers? They've got some playmakers. They're younger, they're developing, but they're at least number 2 type. They're better than what they see out here. And then the Lions' offensive line's the strength of it. So if they got after the offensive line, I think that has to be a good sign.
Honestly, for a joint practice, I mean, if you've been looking around the NFL, a lot of really bad fights around the NFL. Nothing really that got too out of hand today. I mean, a couple of scuffles. Nothing that, and that's just like, some jawing back and forth. There was nothing that was really a big deal. Usually that comes down to what the coaches have told the players, and Frank Reich didn't say anything about it, but I have a feeling that him and Dan Campbell got together and said, we want to get football work done, we don't want to fight, and let people know that they didn't want to see fights. One injury update, rookie tight end Drew Ogletree went down. Frank Reich said it's a knee injury. He said it doesn't look good. Frank Reich doesn't say that very often. It'll be a surprise at this point if it's not bad.
Yeah, he was laying down there for a while, and Frank liked how he wanted to hobble off to let them work. And when I saw him hobbling off the field, you can't tell in that moment, but it turns out it's more serious than it even looked. And he was on the ground, and Paris Campbell kneeled down and was talking to him, and that's obviously a guy who's been through his own serious injuries. So it's a tough blow. It happens out here, but for a rookie who was getting some first-team looks, that's obviously a difficult situation.
We're going to switch fields tomorrow. I'll have the offense, Nate will have the defense, but for the Colts for the IndyStar, I'm Joel Erickson, and this is Nate Atkins.
It's to go and get that next Lombardi trophy. Listen, since 2000, we've won more. We're the 4th winningest team in the National Football League with just 3 in front of us, and that's something to be said over such a long period of time. However, we know in this era, the interesting thing is we have this strong feeling when Matt Ryan comes in, from the passion in my heart, from what Chris Ballard has known and Coach Reich, that this is a time to set up another generation of greatness. We were there with Peyton Manning. We did all the things with Peyton and Marvin and Edgerrin that is well documented. 115 wins in a decade, going to 2 Super Bowls, winning 2 home AFC championship games. So, but now's the time to create another era. It's been created in Pittsburgh. It's been created in Green Bay. It's been created in Denver. So you have to do that. I mean, it's about greatness with the horseshoe and continuing to show that eras don't last forever, but great organizations do, and it's up to us to go get that next world championship and create this new era. And I believe the players we have, the leadership we have, I believe in Frank Reich, Chris Ballard, in the bottom of my heart. That's why I extended both those guys. So we're set up for excellence. Now we just have to go do it. And Matt Ryan has that same feeling in his heart. That difficult loss to the Patriots in the Super Bowl. He's here to get his Lombardi. So this is the time. I was sitting, with Frank Reich and talking about, just watching at the Hall of Fame ceremonies and, just seeing different coaches from different eras that come in, like Tom Flores came in after John Madden, to be in the Hall of Fame. It's Frank's time to take his place, and I think Chris Ballard is looked at upon as maybe the best general manager in football now, certainly in the top couple. So we want to take advantage of that, and we have great players that are committed to doing this, and so it's so important to us that we get that done.